What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Payne. Welcome back to another Street Fighter Duel video. Alright guys, it's going to be a little bit hectic here around my area. We got hit by a tornado. Some of my neighbors got their houses all messed up. Luckily mine was pretty much unscathed. Our whole area has been pretty much evacuated. And people are losing homes, unfortunately, which is unfortunate. So I'm going to be looking out for some of my neighbors. Plus I'll be most likely taking care of my family, of course, at this point in time. So I did want to get a video out here though because I have internet, surprisingly. Don't know how the hell this is even happening. And I have some time because I've already done all my stuff this morning and I'm here for a couple minutes. Now, one thing I want to talk about, a lot of you guys have been asking, is a fighting spirit tier list. Now, I don't know if this was missed or not, but I'm going to quickly show you guys something. There is one on my channel. I'm going to just go through it. I'm going to give you guys the top 10, okay? Because it does need an update. It has been quite some time since I've done an update to it because I haven't been able to manage my spreadsheet, and I apologize for that, guys. I know it's been really hard. And also another thing I want to say real quick too is I know I have not been answering the comment sections quite as often as I used to. There's two reasons behind that. Number one, I'm trying to stay off my phone as much when I'm with my family. Obviously, I should be focusing on them first. So nothing to do with you guys or anything negative there. It's just I just need to focus on family more and just be off my phone a little bit. So here's what I'm talking about. Okay, so I'm gonna show you guys real quick. This is the video here. Fighting Spirit 0 to 40 breakdown, review, and rankings. Everything is here. The actual spreadsheet is right there as well. Just so you guys are aware, this is an older video and it has not been updated for some time. So what I want to do today, you guys can still check it out. It's still a very relevant video, by the way. Most of it's still correct. But I do want to talk about the top 10 fighting spirits that you can go for. So we're not going to put MH Ken in it, or Virgil, or Nero. Actually, Nero we can because he can. Actually, no, he's gone as well, so we can't even use him. So we'll talk about the top 10 fighting units, fighting spirits in the game from 0 to 30. I'm not going to bother with 40 because most people will not even push for that. But the ones you want to focus on, we'll start off with the Masters, Infernals, Wind, Flame, Thunder, and then Flame, and then Legendary. Okay, so which ones you want to get first and foremost, and why? So let's go through the list. Okay, this is in no specific order. You guys can go based on what your units are and what you currently have. So let's start off with the first one. So Akuma. Anybody who has him, to maximize him, you want to get his FS30. The reason behind that is his FS30 actually gives him quite a bit. Akuma becomes a Shura after using Shinshan Gokusatsu. When in Shura form, Akuma unleashes his Hadouken level 3 after the enemy unleashes a combo or super combo, counts as a trigger skill and deals 25% more damage, though it will not grant any conquer. Shura form expires after 3 triggers, right? And it's every 20 seconds. This is an absolute crazy damage dealing move. And his Hadouken is a C1 right here. So he does this and it does more damage than it normally would. So absolutely a must-have in the master section. Definitely get it, okay? That's one of the first ones you want to focus on. Number 2, Rose here. You don't have to actually push her all the way to 30, to be honest with you guys. You guys can actually go with 20 here, and you guys will have enough out of her. And she's an absolute beast when it comes down to support. The 30 is just a bonus. It will do additional damage and cause silence on some enemies, but I find that the 20 is more than enough for her, so you don't actually have to push Rose to 30, making her still one of the cheapest support units in the game, because all you really need is her SSS to get her 3 cars even, and she's good enough, right? T Cammy. Absolute must-have. You have to get her because the reason why is all of her damage comes from her shock and her 6 cars. So if you don't have her fighting spirit up, so he increases the shock damage and duration, and then again it reduces the effect resist by 60% on opponents. This is a definite must-have. So Rose is not a must-have up to 30, but Akuma and T Cammy are absolute. You have to have those. Okay. Now as for Chun-Li here. It's really good. She does a lot for you, so if you plan to use her, definitely get her to 30. The reason why is because her actual vortex does quite a bit. Now keep in mind, guys, the vortex for her is a little bit busted. If she's in tag, the vortex apparently does not work according to testing. I have personally not tested it, but I take the people's word on it because those guys test a lot. So this might be something to reconsider if you do use her. Remember to keep her in the main lineup and not in tag, as her vortex doesn't work. But she is definitely a unit that you do want to push. Okay, so that's the 3 main units right there to 30. This is a 20. Again, his FS30 is broken, unfortunately, so it doesn't work. Ibuki, absolutely. If you have her and you want to use her, definitely get her to 30. So these are the 4 main units here, actually. 1, 2, 3. Let's go 1, 2, 3 main units right there, and you can see they're all DPS. And then these 2 supports are are up to you. This is just 20. This is just, I guess, at 20 as well. Like, what does the 30 do exactly? Let's take a look here. Wind Vortex blocks damage from range attacks and dissipates only after 6 ranges have been taken. So it just stays on the field until 6 range attacks have been taken rather than being removed completely. So still a very good one, but again, apparently it doesn't work if she's in tag, so keep that in mind. So there's the top 3 there. So Ibuki, T-Kami, and Akuma, whichever order you decide to go. All right, moving on here to the Infernals. Okay, so Bison, absolute must-have. Okay, the reason why is because he actually ends up giving you so much extra damage. In his plus 10, he does shadow attack damage, which is true soul damage. At plus 20, he actually provides you the Infernal King buff of 20% more damage. And then at plus 30, he gives you guys a shadow attack as well, too, against the enemy. So you do soul damage, true soul damage on the enemies with your whole team. So an absolute must-have for him. He would also be my top, personally. I always go with him with the top one. Let's see here. He is really good for DPS for bosses specifically. It's not a must-have though. Like what he really does here is his Sublime Bleed actually ends up lasting longer, and then he actually ends up doing the countdown even quicker. With his Sublime Bleed making damage happen more often. So if you do expect to use Vega pretty often, you can push him to 30, but I don't think it's a necessity as much as some of the other guys are, but he's a really good boss unit, so it's up to you on there. Alright, going to Sagat here. Now Sagat is really, really good. So whenever you activate Imperial status, he reduces damage taken by all allies by 30% for 8 seconds. Incredible. Resist fatal damage once per fight, so adding an extra Emperor status to make it a 4 rather than 3 based on the HP percentages. And then activating Emperor status increases the damage of Tiger Cannon. This is pretty much a must-have. So I would push him to 30 for sure. As a matter of fact, you can push him to 20 if you want, if you don't use a C3 that often, but in PvP, that C3 is going to be a lot of damage coming through, okay? Iryu, absolute must-have. So those are the top 3 right there. It's going to be Bison, Sagat, and Iryu for the Infernals. Give me one sec here. Let me go with his Fighting Spirit. The reason why Iryu is so important is when he unleashes a Shun Gokusatsu, he can interrupt the target. Then he does a silence as well at 100% base chance. And his 30 increases the damage of Shun Gokusatsu by 30%. And the skill now ignores target, shield, and damage effect immunities. So very important to use as well too. So it can kill people with that as well as the Shoryuken, right? So super, super important. Like I said, I won't put MH Ken in there or Virgil, but if you do have them, guys, yeah, they're pretty much a no-brainer. Get them to FS30 anyways. These two are maniacs, but those are, I'd say, the best ones. Now if you're a big Jury user, her FS30 is essential. You can't use her without it. She's pretty much useless without it, so you do have to push her to FS30, but because she's fallen off quite a bit, I don't put her into that category. But those would be the top 3 there compared to these top 3. Now these 3 are different, obviously. You can see they're more tanky units, and then with 1 DPS over here, right? So again, prioritize based on what your best unit is. Bison is always my number 1, by the way. All right, let's go on to the next one here. Sorry, give me 1 second, guys. While I'm doing this, just got to make sure that everything's okay on my end. Yep, we're good. Okay. So moving on to Wind. And now this one is crazy. There are so many good units here that you can push to FS30 that it's hard to choose. Now, I'm going to talk about the honorable mentions first. So you don't have to push her to FS30. She just needs FS20. So S Poison, absolutely get to 20. That's your main goal with her. Do not push her to 30. Same with Bizang. You don't have to push him to 30. You can get him to 20, and that's good enough. The 30 does remove the control effect on the fighter immediately and triggers Beast Spin. So whenever he has a control effect on him, he'll do Beast Spin as well. So it's nice every 15 seconds. It's a bonus Beast Spin, but it's RNG based, right? So not a necessity. Cammy's also one that I would push if you use her as your main DPS for bosses. I would push her to 30 because she does a lot more damage with that 30. But again, there's a lot better damage dealers out there, right? So let's talk about the main 3. Chun-Li, absolute must-have. You have to push her to FS30. So these right here, the fact that her increased damage bonus on armor break, because she usually does work with people with armor break, Whirlwind grants teammates 50 speed and increases whole gauge, the combo gauge, and then each crit triggers Whirlwind fills the super combo gauge by an additional 30. So absolutely must-have. Get her up there, guys. She does way more damage. So definitely worth it, and an amazing support unit as well too, right? Guile, no brainer. You guys already know by now. Saber Kick becomes his biggest damage dealing move. Increases damage resist by 30%, making him tankier. Immune to control effects when he's unleashing Saber Kick, and then this is right here the big one. Saber Kick bonus explosives no longer consume Saber Stack. So a lot of his damage comes from his FS30. So you definitely want to push him there as well too. Now Abel, believe it or not, is another big one here too. Sorry guys, I'm looking at my phone making sure things are okay still. his FS30 is pretty important. So he gains a shield that blocks 2 hits in the last 5 seconds when receiving crit damage, triggers every 7 seconds, which is very often. Teammates gain a shield that block 2 hits that last 5 seconds whenever they receive crit damage, so again, very important. And then lastly, teammates receive 1 times additional stack of the shield. The fighter receives 2 stack of additional shield. So if you plan to use him as a tank, his FS30 is absolutely bomb. So definitely push that. Now, Yun and Yang, I want to talk about them real quick. They are really, really good, up to 30 as well, too. That's if you plan to use them. I love them now. I've used them all the time in everything that I do. So I am actually going to push Yun to 30 because Yun Mark causes the target to take 25% additional increased trigger skill damage. This bonus increased by 40% if Yang is on the team. If you put like Ryu and or MH Kan or Ibuki with him, incredible. So definitely push that to 30 if you plan to. So there's 4 units. I find Yang to be the better of the 2 units because of his buffs and his debuffs, but for trigger skills, Yun is better and faster. He's a much faster unit. But Yang is also really good. You can see here his FS30 mark. Yang mark causes the target to take 20% additional crit damage. So if you have a lot of crit units that do a lot of crit rate stuff, like crit damage in general, this will increase it by a lot. So definitely push that. It'll do incredible damage for you. And that that actual Yang mark lasts for 12 seconds, just so you guys know. So it's a pretty long time. So both units here are definitely honorable mentions. So I'd say 1, 2, 3, honorable mention, honorable mention, honorable mention, and honorable mention here. So those are the big ones. 20 here for sure. You have to do 20 for her. Yun and Yang, push to 30 if you want to. They're really good units if you're gonna start using them. But really, their assists are what really make them shine for me. They're incredible as +5 assists, so really, really good there. Okay, so there's your 3 main, 1, 2, 3, honorable, 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 and honorable. Okay, 20 for sure, 5 and 5 for sure. I'd say 30 if you're going to use her as your main DPS, but 5 for sure for her assist, okay? And keep in mind, a lot of people ask this question. If you do push them to FS 20, for example, but don't use them and use them as assist, their base bonus stats will increase, so your main fighter that they're assisting will also have their base bonus stats increase as well, too, okay? So keep that in mind. All right, moving on to Thunder. So let's go through this one now. Now for Thunder faction, Dalsim is your number 1. Get him to FS 30. He'll do so much freaking damage to you. The reason why is at 30, combo 3 has a 100% chance to inflict burn on all enemies for 15 seconds. Enemies have an additional 15% chance to receive another burn when they're infected with burn already. So incredible. His FS 30 makes him shine so much, including with his 6 cards. He's an absolute beast for DPS. So you have to get... Oh, sorry, that's Dalsim. What am I doing? Sorry. Let's do Flame first. Sorry, I should do Flame first. Viper number 2. Viper's an absolute must-have. I'll go back to Thunder after, guys. Sorry, I apologize. The reason why this is important is because whenever you do anything here, you gain yourself armor energy, right? And then armor energy causes additional smash to happen first, so that's an additional super. An extra hit on the super, I should say. If you have ×5 armor energy, the trigger actually does an AoE damage as flame damage as well, so an extra combo there. And at +30, she'll actually transfer some of her armor energy after she has 5 to other people, giving them the damage bonus and the effect accuracy bonus. So Dalsim and what's the name? Viper are absolute must-haves for that as well too. Okay, so just so you're aware. Outside of this, guys, for Flame, I mean, S Yang is up to you. Really, really good. I would still push him all the way up to 30 if you can. The reason why, and all the team gains a 50% boost to his actual shields. If you have him with like DJ or somebody else, it's a really cool bonus to have. Even with Hugo, who has shields, he'll up their shield damage, including shelter shield damage. So you can push him to 30, but 20 is all you really need. You don't actually have to push him to 30. And that will pretty much it. Fei Long +5 is a must-have for him because, again, he does have the bonus 12% more damage to flame and burn damage. So he's almost an essential for Dalsim and Flame Fashion Blanca teams. So +5 is all you need there for an honorable mention. DeCapre also, you don't need to push her all the way to the end. Mayor Cody I haven't used, DJ I don't really use. Dudley I believe is really good for counterpunch, so if you do plan to use him, definitely push him to 30, but he's just an honorable mention. So that's all you need for those two right there. 1 and 2, Dalsim. That's it. That's why I want to do Flame first. They're just easier to go through, okay? Alright, moving on to Thunder. Over here. Almighty Yokozuna, buddy. Alright, so him, you don't need FS30. Okay, absolutely do not need that. You could stop at 20 here, and that's good enough. The reason why is Desperation up to an extra 3 seconds is pretty much essential for him, but the extra healing that he provides teammates is so minuscule it's useless. So don't push him to 30, get him to 20, that's good enough. So honorable mention for Yhonda. For this dude over here, the big Russian, I would also probably say to 20. You don't need to go to 30 for him either. That's just bonus stats, honorable mention. Poison, absolutely push to 30. If she's going to be your main DPS on Thunder, the final blow also creates an additional electrical loop. Electric loop does a lot of damage, and the more she creates, the better, and it also has a chance to silence, causing massive interrupts here and there on all opponents. So she's your first FS30 for sure out of this group. Second one is going to be Elena. Now this is a double-edged sword. I always say this, right? Because she jumps out into the field whenever she does this FS30. So what she does is she gives you Brave Dance, which increases your speed, and I believe increases your attack power by 20%. So it's an amazing bonus to have, but she jumps out in front of the opponent, kicks them, and then she can get one shot. So up to you. Amazing for bosses because it ups your DPS, but also causes a lot of problems where she can die quickly. So she's, I would say, still an essential one, but you got to be careful at how you use her. Emryu, honestly, I hate saying this. He needs the shield. I don't know if you really want to push him to 30. I stopped at 20 for him. My main account he's a 30, but I stopped at 20 on my free to play, and I don't use him anymore outside of his assists. So that Combat Guile, if you actually plan to use him, he's a mediocre character, but his FS30 is essential for him to be maxed out and usable there. The reason why is Army Knife Boom Chain strikes has a 20% chance to dispel finally, so that's a big one that you want to use. This is his C3, right? So for Thunder, he's probably a must-have as well for that. So I'd say Thunder's top ones. Let's look at Blanca real quick here. Yeah, this is really good too. So here, I'll say this. Number 1 for FS30. Number 2 for FS30. Again, up to you on that one. Number 3 for FS30. And then if you really want to push him, number 4. I don't recommend it. I don't know enough about Mummy Dhalsim yet. I would say it's very important because it looks very much like regular Dhalsims, but I haven't tested them, so I can't give you that information. All right, so that would be your top 3. I'd say 1 for sure, 2, up to you on that one if you want to take the chance with her, and 3, and then honorable mentions for 20 is 20, 20, 20, and he has to be 30 to shine. So there you guys have it. In terms of your legendaries, FS30, 110%. She has to hit FS30, and then FS30, absolutely. Again, Nero I won't include because he's not in here anymore, but if you do have him, FS30 for him as well too. But those are your 2 legendaries. All right, so I hope that gives you guys the whole list you need. I will put that on the screen by Master, Infernal, Wind, Flame, Thunder, and Legendary for you guys, so you guys can check it out. But that's essentially what you want for your top FSs. How you organize it is up to you. Based on the units that you have. I just want to give you guys who you should focus on. All right, if you guys want to go back to the spreadsheet that I showed in the beginning, it's on that video. Check it out. You guys can always access it at any time, but just remember it's a little outdated now because I did it months ago. All right guys, this is Payne. I'll talk to you guys in the next one.